Welcome to the Veridian Briefing. I am Sloan Mercer with the Veridian Group, a private intelligence and security consultancy. This is a special edition, and today we are covering the most aggressive state-sponsored disinformation campaign since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Except this time, the weapons are better, the platforms are more complicit, and the speed of deception has outpaced every verification mechanism that exists. Since the United States and Israel launched strikes on Iran beginning February 28, 2026, social media has been saturated with fabricated content at a scale and sophistication that has fundamentally altered how hundreds of millions of people understand what is happening in the Middle East right now. AI-generated deepfake videos of burning cities that were never bombed, video game footage from military simulation titles presented as real combat, fabricated claims that the USS Abraham Lincoln was sunk, a clip of a supposedly downed U.S. fighter jet that was traced to a video game. AI-generated images of Iran's supreme leader buried in rubble presented as photographic evidence of his death. The three most popular fake AI-generated videos, identified by BBC Verify during this conflict, have collectively garnered over 100 million views. Not 100,000, 100 million. And those are just the three largest. The total ecosystem of fabricated content is orders of magnitude larger. Iran is fighting a war it cannot win on the battlefield by waging one it can win on your screen. And the primary amplification surface for that war is X. Let me explain why X is operationally valuable to Iran's influence ecosystem, because the platform dynamics matter as much as the content itself. X compresses the verification window. During the first hours of a major military event, authoritative confirmation is scarce. Governments, militaries, and credible news organizations need time to verify what happened. X does not wait. The platform's engagement incentives reward high-arousal content, meaning the most sensational, most emotional, most alarming posts gain the most visibility regardless of whether they are true. That creates a window, typically 1 to 6 hours after a major event, where perception is being shaped before facts are established. Iran-aligned operators do not need to originate every false claim. They can exploit the ambient chaos. The platform's crisis dynamics generate what we call narrative fog, a dense environment of unverified claims, recycled footage, misattributed imagery, and genuine reporting, all mixed together in a feed that most users cannot differentiate. Within that fog, Iran-aligned actors amplify narratives that serve their strategic objectives. They do not need to create the confusion. They just need to steer it. The network effects on X make this particularly effective. A claim starts with an anonymous account. It gets reposted by a mid-tier account, then quote-posted by a larger account with commentary that adds apparent credibility. Within an hour, the claim has been laundered through enough layers that it appears to have multiple independent sources, when in reality, every iteration traces back to the same unverified origin. That is narrative laundering, and X's architecture is purpose-built for it. Now let me walk you through what has actually happened since the strikes began on February 28th, because the scale of documented disinformation in this conflict is unprecedented. NewsGuard, the news rating organization, identified 18 false war-related claims published by Iranian state media outlets in just the first week after the strikes began. That is compared to 5 false claims in the 2 weeks before the strikes. The rate of fabrication tripled overnight. The specific examples are instructive because they reveal the techniques being used. Iranian state-linked media claimed that 4 Iranian ballistic missiles hit the USS Abraham Lincoln. That claim was debunked by an operational status statement from the U.S. Navy. A video purporting to show a fighter jet being shot down over Tehran was initially celebrated by IRGC-linked Telegram channels as proof of Iran shooting down a U.S. F-15. The Israeli Air Force later confirmed the video actually showed an Israeli F-35 shooting down an Iranian aircraft over Tehran, the opposite of what the claim asserted. Multiple instances of footage from the military simulation game Arma were presented as authentic combat video. One viral post used Arma gameplay to depict U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. Another used the same game to portray explosions from missile and drone attacks on Iraqi cities. These clips circulated widely on TikTok, with some linked to Russian influence operations amplifying Iran's narrative. A Russian-operated account posted a fabricated image of a US B-2 stealth bomber being shot down, alongside synthetic images of Delta Force members being captured. That single post garnered over 1 million views before being identified as fabricated. AI-generated videos of captured U.S. force members reached over 5 million views before removal. An Iranian state media outlet, Tehran Times, posted what was presented as footage of a CIA outpost being destroyed in Dubai. The footage was actually a residential fire from 2015 in Sharjah. An IRGC spokesperson claimed 650 U.S. troops were killed or wounded in the first 2 days of the conflict. U.S. Central Command stated that 6 service members had been killed. The fabricated figure was over 100 times the actual number. Iranian state media also circulated what appeared to be AI-generated footage of a burning skyscraper in Bahrain posted by the Tehran Times verified account. The video was proven fake, but it had already reached several million impressions before debunking. These are not edge cases. This is the operational pattern, and it exploits 5 specific manipulation techniques that our analysts have identified. Technique 1 is kinetic overclaiming. Fabricated or exaggerated claims of battlefield success, including sunk ships, downed aircraft, and destroyed bases, designed to project military capability that does not match operational reality. The USS Abraham Lincoln claim and the fighter jet video are textbook examples. Technique 2 is temporal recycling. Older footage from previous conflicts, ceremonies, or unrelated events presented as current. The coffins footage traced to a 2011 ceremony, the Dubai fire video from 2015, and the October 2024 Tel Aviv missile footage all follow this pattern. Technique 3 is synthetic generation. AI-created images and video presented as documentary evidence. The images of Iran's supreme leader buried in rubble, the fabricated B-2 shootdown, and the synthetic battle damage footage all use generative AI tools that are now cheap, accessible, and capable of producing content that is difficult for untrained eyes to distinguish from reality. Technique 4 is identity injection and persona fabrication. Clemson University's Media Forensics Hub identified 62 accounts across X, Instagram, and Blue Sky linked to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. These accounts masqueraded as Scottish independence supporters, Irish nationalists, and Latina women from Texas, California, Venezuela, and Chile. They posted locally relevant content for months to build audience trust, then pivoted simultaneously to pro-Tehran war messaging when the strikes began. The personas were manufactured specifically to filter Iranian messaging through identities that Western audiences would perceive as authentic local voices rather than foreign propaganda. Technique 5 is authority laundering through platform AI. This is the newest and most concerning development. Users on X frequently tag the platform's integrated AI chatbot, Grok, to verify suspicious content. Researchers at the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab documented over 300 responses by Grok to a single fake AI-generated video of a bombed airport. Grok's responses contradicted each other, sometimes minute to minute. One response stated the video likely showed real damage. Another said it was likely not authentic. The DFR Lab's director observed that what we are seeing is AI mediating the experience of warfare. When a platform's own AI verification tool validates fabricated content even intermittently, it creates a new form of authority laundering. Users who ask Grok whether something is real and receive an affirmative response now have what they perceive as platform-endorsed confirmation. The fabrication gains an additional layer of apparent credibility that did not exist before AI chatbots were integrated into social media platforms. This brings us to the financial dimension, because the disinformation ecosystem on X is not just ideologically motivated, it is economically incentivized. X's creator revenue sharing program pays eligible users based on engagement and views. During a conflict where sensational content drives massive engagement, there is a direct financial incentive to post fabricated or misleading content. The more alarming the claim, the more views it generates, the more money the creator earns. X recognized this problem belatedly. On March 4th, the platform announced it would suspend users from its creator revenue sharing program if they upload AI-generated content of armed conflict without identifying it as synthetic. That policy change came days after the disinformation surge began and after the most viral fabrications had already achieved hundreds of millions of cumulative views. The policy addresses future content. It does not undo the perception damage already inflicted. The Foundation for Defense of Democracies identified a separate Iranian influence operation linked to the Basiji, the volunteer paramilitary force operating under the IRGC. This network generated over 18 million views and 800,000 likes across more than 30,000 posts. The network used coordinated hashtag bursts to artificially boost visibility in X's trending algorithms. A key component of this operation is a Basiji subdivision called Matna, responsible for producing ideological content, alongside a unit called Shamsa that coordinates disinformation campaigns and trains operatives to identify and discredit regime critics online. The International Counterterrorism Institute at Reichman University documented how Iran is running a sophisticated influence campaign on social media aimed at shaping perceptions on multiple fronts simultaneously. The campaign targets domestic Iranian audiences, Israeli audiences, Arab regional audiences, and Western audiences, with each receiving tailored messaging designed for that specific population. Domestically, the messaging projects strength and resilience. Toward Israel, it amplifies division and fear. Toward Western audiences, it frames Iran as a victim of aggression and erodes support for U.S. and Israeli military action. The researchers noted something critical. Iran's dual messaging strategy, projecting victimhood to Western audiences while projecting military dominance to domestic audiences, appears contradictory. But in practice, both narratives serve the same strategic objective. They are tailored to different audiences through precise messaging, exploiting the fact that most people only see the version designed for them. So what can organizations and individuals do to protect themselves? First, treat first-hour viral content from X as untrusted during any major military or geopolitical event. Require two-source corroboration from high-reliability outlets before internally disseminating any claim that originates on social media. The 1 to 6 hour window after a major event is the highest risk period for narrative capture, and it is exactly the window when the pressure to share information is strongest. Second, build pre-prepared verification playbooks for recurring claim types, downed aircraft claims, sunk ship claims, miscaptioned strike footage, synthetic battle damage imagery. These categories repeat across every conflict. Having a structured response protocol that your team can activate immediately reduces the risk of amplifying fabricated content. Third, monitor for coordination indicators, copy-paste clusters, where near-identical posts appear across many accounts within minutes. Tempo anomalies where dramatic damage claims appear before credible confirmation is plausible. Sudden promotion of newly created news domains by many accounts simultaneously. And cross-platform synchronization where identical narrative packets hit X, Telegram, TikTok, and Instagram in tight sequence. Fourth, do not rely on platform AI tools for verification. Grok has demonstrably failed to consistently identify fabricated content during this conflict. Until platform AI tools can reliably distinguish synthetic from authentic content, they should not be treated as verification authorities. And fifth, understand that the financial incentive structure on social media platforms rewards exactly the behavior that disinformation campaigns exploit. The most viral content during a crisis is almost never the most accurate content. If your information consumption habits during a conflict are driven by what is trending rather than what is verified, you are consuming a product that was designed for engagement, not accuracy. The bottom line is this: Iran cannot match the conventional military power of the United States and Israel. So it is fighting on the battlefield where it can compete. Your information environment. AI-generated deepfakes, fabricated battlefield claims, persona networks masquerading as Western voices, and a platform architecture that rewards sensationalism over accuracy have created conditions where a state actor with relatively modest resources can shape the perceptions of hundreds of millions of people in real time. The three most popular fake videos alone reached over 100 million views. Iranian state media published 18 debunked claims in a single week. IRGC-linked networks generated 18 million views across 30,000 coordinated posts. And X's own AI tool validated fabricated content that it should have flagged. This is not a future threat. This is happening right now. And the only defense is disciplined information consumption, structured verification protocols, and the understanding that during a conflict, the most dangerous weapon is not a missile. It is a lie that reaches 100 million people before the truth puts on its shoes. That is the Veridian Briefing Special Edition on Iran's information warfare campaign. The full analytical product with complete source citations, the narrative cluster map, indicators and warnings dashboard, and platform-disclosed Iranian network archive references is available through the Veridian Group. If your organization needs to understand how state-sponsored disinformation affects your risk environment, your communications strategy, or your operational decision-making, visit veridiangroup.com/briefing to schedule a consultation with our analysts. I am Sloan Mercer with the Veridian Group. Stay informed, stay prepared. I will see you next week.